You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
He is the best first-year head coach in Syracuse football history. It is not hyperbole. The wins and losses back it up, and also just the effect that he had on the program in 1 year. Stay tuned for that as well. So earlier today, Fran Brown received the Bear Bryant Top Newcomer Coach of the Year. This award goes to the best head coach that had never had prior head coaching experience at the FBS level. Hence, Fran Brown. Fran Brown came from Syracuse. He came from Georgia as a defensive backs coach. I believe he had been a defensive coordinator, or at least a co-defensive coordinator before, but he had never been a head coach at the Division I FBS level until this year. And let's be honest, that award is well-deserved for Fran Brown. It just his first season goes 10-3. And then, as I was recording this podcast, I had literally just hit the record button, and I saw a notification that Fran Brown also received another award, and that is the Steve Spurrier First-Year Head Coach Award. So congratulations to Fran Brown on both the awards. It is well-deserved. Now, we all know that Fran Brown is really striving for two things. One, an undefeated season, and two, a national championship. But hey, individual hardware, hey, that can't hurt, right? That's pretty nice for Fran Brown. So congratulations. Now, the day after the Miami game, I declared that Fran Brown had the best first-year head coach season in Syracuse football history. And I stand by that this evening, all right? I stand by that take. Here are the wins and loss. Here's the win-loss record for every first-year Syracuse football head coach since 1949 when Ben Schwartzwalder took over at the program. For those that don't know, Ben Schwartzwalder is the best head coach in Syracuse football history and was the head coach of Syracuse football's only national championship team in 1959. All right? So Ben Schwartzwalder took over in 1949 in his first season. Syracuse went 4-5. All right? It was different times back then. They played less games. In 1974, you had Frank Maloney, who went 2-9 in his first season. In 1981, Dick McPherson takes over. He goes 4-6-1. In 1991, Paul Pasqualoni takes over for Dick McPherson. He goes 10-2. So that's really the only competition for Fran Brown and best first-year head coach in Syracuse history. It's Paul Pasqualoni in 1991. In 2005, Lord Voldemort takes over as Syracuse football head coach, and he basically went Avada Kedavra on the program. They go 1-10 in his first year. He is the coach that shall not be named anymore. So Lord Voldemort in 2005 took over, goes 1-10, and basically kills the program. In 2009, you got Doug Marrone taking over for Lord Voldemort. Obviously a tough job to do. And he goes 4-8 and actually has a pretty successful tenure with Syracuse, kind of getting him back to a somewhat respectable level in college football. In 2013, Scott Schaefer takes over for Doug Marrone, and he goes 7-6. But remember, he inherited mostly a Doug Marrone team, and then it wasn't that long until Scott Schaefer really showed his true colors and wasn't exactly the greatest head coach in the world, right? In 2016, Dino Babers goes 4-8 in his first season as head coach. And then you got 2024, Fran Brown going 10-3. Only Paul Pasqualoni had a better record than Fran Brown in his first season as a head coach. But Paul Pasqualoni, first of all, was only by half a game, 10-2 versus 10-3. And second of all, he inherited a much better situation than Fran Brown. Significantly better. Fran Brown had to revamp the entire recruiting. He had the luxury of the transfer portal, but still, he had to completely revamp the program. And Fran Brown did exactly that, whereas Paul Pasqualoni, he was just continuing, I'm not trying to disrespect him here, but he was continuing the success from what Syracuse had in the prior years. And credit to him, he did exactly that. They still were very good under Paul Pasqualoni, but it's different. Fran Brown had to completely revamp the program, right? That's what I'm trying to say with that. It's not meant to be disrespect at Paul Pasqualoni by any means necessary. Not taking a shot at him. All right. Don't come at me. All right. As far as the recruiting and the portal achievements, he took Syracuse from a bottom of the barrel recruiting team in the ACC. They were either worst or second worst in the conference in recruiting year in and year out under Dino Babers. Fran Brown changes it in one recruiting class in 2024. They were already upper half, and they were once again upper half in 2025. And I imagine they're going to be upper half in the conference again in 2026. He also struck gold in the transfer portal, all right? Getting Kyle McCord, getting Fidel Diggs, but also hitting on guys like Devin Grant and getting Deuce Chestnut back. And Jackson Meeks was a big-time portal addition. Under the radar guy that they got. The only reason why we were really freaking out about him is because he attended Georgia. But he was a 3-star recruit at Georgia. He barely saw the field at Georgia. He comes to Syracuse, and all of a sudden, he's a second-team All-ACC player. It was remarkable. It's like if Chris Long, or not Chris Long, it's like if Chris Long, who they got in the portal this year, had an all-conference caliber season next year. And he's a depth receiver at this point, right? So they hit in the transfer portal, no doubt. The key is now with Fran Brown, here's the key. Can he build on it? Great first year. We're all impressed. What's the encore? What do you got in year 2? 2025 is a tougher schedule. You don't have that experienced quarterback like Kyle McCord back there. It's certainly going to be interesting, but I believe in Fran Brown. I believe that he has the program headed in the right direction. That's why I said that after the Miami game as well, I think it was a program-changing caliber win because Fran Brown and Syracuse football had re-arrived in college football. All right, so congratulations to Fran Brown on not 1, but 2 awards.